Okay, let's start. So just a quick recap of what we have done yesterday. Yesterday we understood the BP concept, right? We understood that the way in which the customers and vendors are created in SAP S4HANA is using the transaction BP. Okay, so if you are coming from ECC background, if you got some exposure to ECC, the old transactions like FK01, MK01, those are the transactions that we were using in ECC. They will directly redirect you to transaction BP. Okay, so just quickly, because yesterday I think it was too much. Let me just take 10 minutes to recap everything, whatever we discussed yesterday, and then we will go to uh, the other topics in the business partner itself. So we understood that in order to create a vendor, okay, we have still not discussed anything from the customer point of view. That is the next thing that we will do today. If I want to create a vendor, I need to go to transaction BP. Okay, in BP, I need to click on new organization button. Okay, in the groupings, you will be able to see the groupings which are pre-delivered by SAP. In addition to those groupings, we can also create our own groupings. Now, what exactly is a purpose of these groupings? If I want to segregate my vendors into different groups, okay, so for example, I want to segregate my domestic vendors, my foreign vendors, intercompany vendors, service vendors, or maybe any other kind of vendors that I want to segregate. So normally I divide them into different groups. Okay. So what I need to do is I need to create different vendor account groups. How can I do that? So I can go to SPRO, IMG, financial accounting, AP and AR, vendor accounts, master data, preparation for creating vendor master data, and here define account groups with screen layout. So if you want to see the transaction code, if you want to use the transaction code of instead of going through this path again and again, the transaction code for this activity is OBD3. Okay, last 4 digits. If you use, you will be taken to this particular transaction directly. Okay, in OBD3, we need to create the different groups that we need. So system will show you whatever groups already are pre-delivered by SAP or maybe whatever you created previously. But if you want to create your own, you can click on the new entry and you can enter the relevant information. So we already created some groups yesterday. We started with R. So this RD01 we created for our domestic vendors. Then RFOR we created for foreign vendors. RIN1 we created for intercompany. And then RSER we created for the service vendors. If you double click on this, this is a 4-digit code that you can provide. The description, whatever you want to provide the description, and then in the field status, you can tell the system for this particular group which fields you want to make mandatory, which fields you want to make optional, which fields you want to suppress, which means hide, and which fields you want to keep display only. Okay, so based on the group, you can make the settings, which fields you are looking to make it mandatory, which fields you want to keep it optional. So this is the first thing which is controlled by the account group. Account group controls the field status. And the next thing that is controlled by account group is number range. Okay, so each and every vendor account group needs to be assigned to the number range. So in our case, we assigned RDO1 to Y7. We assigned RFOR to Y8. Similarly, Y9 for RIN1, and then for RSER, we assigned Y2. Right? Then this Y7 number range, if you see this number ranges, this is a place where you can set up the different number ranges, start number, end number, you can provide everything here. So here if you come and go for Y7, okay, you can see the numbers are starting from 81 all time 0 to 81 ending with 4 nines. Right? These are the numbers within which your vendor would be created. Okay, this is a vendor number. So if the number range is external, you have to provide the number manually. If the number range is internal, if I don't take this indicator, then system will automatically take the next number. Okay, but in our case, because in the business partner creation screen, system is not asking us the vendor account group. That is the reason, in addition to vendor account group, we need to also create the BP groupings. Okay, so the additional requirement in order to create a vendor is we need to have the BP groupings also. We also created the BP groupings yesterday. So how can you do that? You have to go to SPRO, IMG. Okay, within cross application components, there is something called as SAP Business Partner. Within SAP Business Partner, you will go for Business Partner once again, basic settings, and here you will be able to see number ranges and groupings. Okay, in this particular screen, you can define the groupings. Okay, so which groupings we defined? We define again the same code. So RDO1, RFOR, RSER, and RIN1. These are the 4 BP groupings that we created yesterday. Similar to vendor account groups, even the BP groupings needs to be assigned to the number range, because the BP number, this number range is for BP number, not the vendor number. Okay, if you want the numbers to be assigned, you need to assign the number range. So which means you will be able to create the number range here. So here again, if you go to Y7, you will be able to see some numbers. Okay, you can see the starting number is this, ending number is this, and this many numbers are already used from this number range. Right? Again, this can be external or internal. If it is external, you have to provide the number manually while creation of business partner. If this is internal, system will take the number automatically. In our case, it is automatic. Okay, so which means whenever I am creating the business partner, system will ask me the grouping. These are 302 groupings which are already available. So all these 302 groupings will become available here. Okay, I need to select the proper grouping. In my case, if I want to select RDO1. Okay, so this is my grouping. These groupings internally are assigned to vendor account groups. So there is a third configuration which you need to remember is assignment of BP grouping to vendor account group. Okay, and that is you have to do it in again cross application components. Within cross application components, you will go to master data synchronization. In this one, CVI, which is customer vendor integration, business partner settings. There are 2 folders, one for customer, second for vendor. Let's go to the vendor integration. And here you would be able to go to field assignment, assign keys, and this one, direction BP to vendor. So here you will be able to assign your BP grouping to the vendor account group. So if I go to RDO1, is assigned to RDO1. In addition to this assignment, if you want the same numbers, if you want that the number which is generated for business partner should be same number should be given to the vendor also, then you have to tick on this indicator. This indicator will only work when there are 2 prerequisites which are met. Number 1, both these groupings should have the same starting and same ending number. Okay, the number range in short should be same, must be same. That is number 1. And number 2, vendor account group number range must be set to external. Okay, we already seen our vendor account group number range is set to external. If I untick this and if I try to save this, system will throw error. It will not allow us to use the same number as long as this number range is not set to external. Right? These are the different things that we have discussed yesterday. So quickly, I will try to create a vendor and we will see all other details that we discussed. So I'm selecting grouping RDO1 because internally I want system to automatically derive vendor account group RDO1. If you want to see whether it is derived or not, how you can do that is you can just select the role. What are the 2 roles related to vendor? Which are those 2 roles? If I want to create a vendor as a business partner,
FLVN00.
FLVN00 and FLVN01. Okay, so these are the 2 important roles. If I go to FLVN00, see, as soon, currently there is no company code data, but as soon as I select FLVN00, you'll be able to see company code tab is appearing here. Same way, why this is appearing? Because it is allowing me to enter financial related information for this vendor. If I want to enter the purchasing organization relevant information, then I have to go to FLVN01. If I click on FLVN01, again, if I click on create, you can see instead of company code, it is asking you purchasing information. So FLVN01 is to maintain the accounting information, and FLVN01 is there to maintain the purchasing related information. Okay, so I'll go to FLVN01 first. I will enter the mandatory part, which is company, whatever is the name that you want to give to this particular vendor. Okay, if you come down, there are many additional mandatory fields which you need to fill. If you don't fill, the system will not allow you to save this particular vendor. Okay, I think search term is also mandatory field, otherwise it will throw error. Okay, and if you just come down, language is also one of the mandatory field. Once you enter the mandatory information, you can go to the company code tab. Okay, here you enter your company. In our case, it is RECH. System will ask you some mandatory information. In addition to the mandatory, if you want to enter some information which is optional, normally that is to be done by the user when they are creating the vendor. Okay, once you enter all this information, you can just click on save. So system will generate two numbers. One is business partner number and second is vendor number. And you can see these two numbers are exactly same. Why they are same? Because we have ticked on that indicator. We want the same numbers to be given to business partner and to vendor. Okay, is it clear? Any questions till now? Okay, if not, whatever vendors we have created till now, we created all these vendors in our company code data. We created only for FLVN00, which means if I want to do any financial transaction with this vendor, system will allow. Okay, just a quick recap what we discussed yesterday in terms of the segments in vendor master data. What are the different segments in vendor master? There are three segments. Number one is general segment, which consists of name and address. Number two is company code data, which you would be able to fill in FLVN00. And number three is purchasing org related data, which would be able to fill in FLVN01. Right? So whatever vendors we have created till now, we have created only for company code data. So general data is by default, name and address is by default. Irrespective of which role you select, system will first take the name and address of that particular vendor, and then in company code data, you can enter the financial information. Now, if I want to use this vendor for my module, okay, if I want to use vendor to create the purchase orders, to do the goods receipt, to receive the invoices, okay, in that particular case, I need to create this vendor for my purchasing organization level also. Okay, so the same vendor which we already created, we can extend it to the new role. If I want to add a new role, okay, if I'm in the display mode, see currently I'm in the display mode. If you are in the display mode, you will be only able to see those roles which are already created. Now, have we created all these roles? We only created one role, FLVN00, and this is by default. 6 times 0 is by default. All other roles which you are able to see, these are all custom roles maybe someone has created who are practicing on this server. Normally, if you work on the production server, you will be only able to see FLVN00 and this 6 times 0. Okay, now if I want to create FLVN01 for the same business partner,